And it works. Hooray. Welcome aboard, everybody, to the FerventDrift. We have had a change of branding and identity after some very, very difficult decisions. Today, I am joined by one of my most wonderful players. You can see her on Saturday nights. With, as you described, the unaliving hobo party.
You added unaliving because it was.
Because
I guess you can't say that
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
TikTok, right?
yeah. So yes, we are joined for after the roll. Actually, am I recording? I am not recording. That would have been devastating. So, yeah. Once again, we are recording this live. So I will be clipping it, uploading it to TikTok, and hopefully extracting the audio for eventually Spotify and whatever else. Tonight we are exploring After the Roll, where I will be interviewing Kitty to find out exactly how she feels our campaign is going. We will talk a little bit about your character and character development. What? What? Something's just set you off. I'm worried.
This campaign has been so insane. So insane.
I'm just trying to find, because I started a series like this some time ago. I'm just seeing if I've still got the list of questions. I would have it somewhere, so hopefully we find it. Amazing. I have some questions. Beautiful. So, whilst before we really dive down deep into it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your character within this setting?
Hi, I am Kitty Loaf. I am playing Ravina, who is
She's a wizard, right?
the elf rogue. The very elf, the very rogue Ravina. It seems like everything she does backfires. Even though she has actually the best of intentions every time and is the least likely in the party to murder an innocent person, I think. Maybe Sebastian and Ev wouldn't, but they would. Maybe, I don't know. We haven't seen them very much.
They've not been with the party long enough yet.
Yes. So yeah, Ravina is I don't know if any of the players are watching, is excommunicado by the Raven Thief Guild, but then is being asked to come back because of leadership changes, apparently.
Yes.
Ravina is not her actual name. Nor is her hair color actually black, but you know, the party doesn't need to know that.
They may do now.
But yeah, I've been trying to play her as a chaotic good character. Like someone who will actually like care about the other people that she meets and be selfless. Which part, a little bit to my dismay, it seems that the rest of the party is very chaotic neutral.
Oh yes.
Like they don't really care about the collateral damage at all.
I honestly don't think it's that they don't care. I think it's more just a case of a combination, especially with Zero being that kind of emotional trauma for the character, coupled with accidental consequences of their actions. And I think
Yes.
that's definitely a theme with this party. I've noticed unintended consequence.
And I think in the case of Azura, the barbarian, uh, when we were at the Masons Guild, I believe that they just don't have the self control, maybe, to hold themselves back.
The minute it looks hairy,
They're just fine. They're a barbarian. They're a
just
barbarian.
yeah. I mean, again, like the party as a whole, I love the group and I love the party. I think they're fantastic, and it's a great story that is developing from them. You know, obviously for the first act, we've been very sort of focused around Zero and Zero's character and a little bit about her backstory, but not so much just yet.
It's very, very interesting, Zero's backstory.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, with Act 2 fast approaching, I think you've kind of picked up on, at least I hope you've picked up on, that Ravina is going to be taking that role of, this is now my world, this is my center, this is where I am going to be honed in on as a character.
Maybe. We'll see how that goes.
That depends if you take the ship to Astucia, of course, but...
I mean, yes, I intend to take this ship to Astucia. We currently have enough time to save Poland and go to Astucia, which is the idea.
Yes, absolutely.
And if the rest of the party doesn't go to Astucia, I'm gonna have to roll up a second character for the interim.
Ooh. I think the majority of the party will go with you.
They will do anything I say.
Pretty much. I think you're the level-headed one, which is odd for a rogue. How does that feel? Like
It is a horribly like reverse mirror world, bizarro world.
Because normally
where it's like the rogue is not killing anyone.
Because normally you have like the wizard who's going to be the one who makes the plans, makes the schemes, thinks things through. Then you'll have the barbarian who is up front and, you know, do you want me to kill this guy? You know, do you want me to unalive him very, very quickly? Because I will, I don't mind. And then you normally have the rogue who is kind of the one who goes, ooh, they've got shiny things attached to their back pocket, I will have that. But in this instance, it's very much the rogue has seemed to have taken lead of the party, which is definitely a bit bizarre in of itself.
It is. I feel like if left to their own devices, the party will go after the biggest objective immediately. So currently, that is just go after Poland. So there is no concept of legwork. There is no real research to be done. It's just we're going in the sewers. Screw everything else. We're not following any other leads. We're going right into the sewers, unless I say, hey, no, we're gonna check this out before we go. It can wait a couple hours. And also, the party would completely split up and be at the captain's mercy if I did not insist everyone travel together.
Oh, yes.
Because otherwise we will get picked off one by one.
Hey, I'm not that much of a brutal.
Do you remember how we unlocked the big bad evil guy?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But again, that was somebody running off on their own.
Exactly. So we can't have that anymore. And every time I try to do it, because it's my favorite thing to do, which is like to split up the party, it's like, well, terrible things happen every time I do it, so maybe I should stop doing that also. So one of the regrets I had in this last episode was, you know, out of character chat going into the session, Nyla was saying, "Hey, you're a rogue. You should scout ahead and, you know, be at the front and be sneaky and stuff." And like, I'm like, "Don't tell me what to do because I'm an edgy teenager." But then I do that thing, and the worst outcome happens. Like, I'm trying to do it, and then you guys are like, "Well, we don't know where she went. We're just gonna."
Do you know what I found the funniest? The funniest moment for me in that last session was Ravina finding the note with the combination and underneath the words "rest well," and you're like, "Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. I'll use it and see what happens." And you take the extended long rest that was waiting for the entire party.
Yep, and incidentally, that makes my hit points go down because I have traded actual hit points for temporary hit points in this campaign. But it does actually give me a lot of my features back.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's. I mean, we've already answered that. I was going to ask you, was there a decision your character already regrets? But I think.
I think going to the Blackguards and being honest with Sherivan, leading to Trudy's death, was a little naive of me. But also I rolled extremely poorly on my persuasion checks. Like, I feel like it could have gone differently in a different universe. But that is maybe the only thing I regret so far.
Okay.
Everything else, I don't think I would have changed what I did. In a different universe. Oh man, about this last scene, right? So Ravina goes into the end of the hallway with the illusions, tries to communicate with the bandit captain. Bandit captain can't see her, so she thinks she's an illusion, and everyone steps out, and then they see the party wrestling with their illusions, and then Seraphim walks up to kind of like intimidate this bandit captain, and immediately gets murdered because everyone rolls like zeros on the initiative. Yeah. And you told us out of character, all he had to do was just like back away and talk things out. But he's like, "No, I'm gonna protect the party. I'm gonna be the hero, right?" And then he's like, "Well, heroes are not invincible in D&D."
I absolutely got where he was coming from.
Yeah,
I absolutely saw the logic behind his thinking. The problem is, the hints were there that they were going to be paranoid. They were going to be skitty. They were not going to immediately be, "Oh yes, come on in. We'll welcome you with open arms." You know, they were going to be on the defense from the very beginning.
That is why I did not lower my invisibility. That is why I was trying to like talk to them at a distance. But I wasn't gonna let them like see me until like we had been sure, like, hey, these guys, we can negotiate with them. But yes, I do think that was incredibly rash of Seraphim. And it's 50% vindictive, like 50% justified and 50% just like, well, you goofed a bunch of times and the hammer's got to fall eventually.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I love Drew as a player. I think he's fantastic. with the role play, with the getting involved, and it's their first campaign as well. So when it's somebody's first campaign, especially somebody's first campaign with me, I'm a little bit more lenient, and I do give those extra couple of chances, through deals and resurrections that are more than likely going to cause some form of trouble later on, but they don't immediately lose that character they're enjoying. However, there has to be consequence. There has to eventually be that point of, I'm sorry, you've hit the big red button now.
As a player, I totally see it. Like he had every chance, but there is, of course, like he is inexperienced. He will make mistakes, and we have to kind of accommodate that. But he's not going to learn unless he gets punished. And honestly, like,
do you know? I wish I could say that was like one of the silliest things I've ever had a player do. It's really not. It's really genuinely not.
Can I tell you how my first character died?
Go on.
So I was playing Saul the Barbarian back in Pathfinder First Edition, and we had played from level 1 and got to level 5, and we were at one of the players' houses, and we've been playing for like 5 hours doing this module that the GM was very experienced in running because he did the Pathfinder Society. So he knew this module really well, and he was extremely talented DM. So we kill the demon at the end, and then I go up to the damsel at the end of the dungeon, and she goes to give me a hug because like she's very excited. And then at that point I go to the bathroom because we'd been drinking pizza and sodas all night, and then from outside the bathroom they're like, hey, you need to make a saving throw. And I'm like, whatever, I just intentionally fail it, which is something you can do, right? Yep. Just to see what it does, right? Because I'm like, I'm level 5, nothing's bad's gonna happen to me. And then the DM is like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm too young to understand, like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And then I get back like a minute later and it's like, your character's dead. I'm like, what? And it's like, yes, the damsel was a succubus in disguise and was studying you for 3 turns before you approached her. I'm like, makes sense? Like, and then, he gave me the chance to roll. I failed anyway, so it's like, I got gotted. And that was a learning moment for me. I do not feel like he was unjustified. The module was written that way. I feel like it was very fair, and it has made me a better player after losing my first character that way.
Well, you see, the first game I ever played. Now, I have nothing good to say about that GM. It was AD&D 2nd edition, right? And this GM was every Reddit horror story wrapped into a single human being. And when I tell you, it's still not that bad compared to this GM. Hey, I learned what not to do. That's what I took away from it. But my first character, it's my first game, my first character. First character, normally an edgelord for most people. Mine was definitely an edgelord. Anyway, we're in this village, and my character got slighted by the guards in this village. I can't remember what they did, but they really upset her unjustly. So she went out to the orcs that were sieging the village and said to the orc leader, they're planning to try and attack you. They are going to come out and attack you. The DM went, well, it's a good thing he can see everything that's going on in the village. What? Okay, fine, whatever. Had my character caged, then had her bound in bandages, and then eventually when one of the PCs actually came and freed her, was like, yeah, I'm just going to kill her outright. I was like, okay, can he do that? And DM's like, yeah, of course he can. You're bound. There's nothing you can do. No attack rolls, no nothing. Just instant death. And I was like, okay, fine, fair enough. And I created another character. I created a Bard Rogue, which in AD&D 2nd Edition is a very technical thing to actually achieve. And we got portaled somewhere. And he was like, you see this figure standing in front of you. I said, well, the first thing my bard's going to do is grab his loot, which has his components in the caps of his loot. So I said, he's going to grab that. And he's like, no, you're not. First thing you're going to do is stand up. I said, no. First thing I'm going to do is reach for my loot. And then he pulled me aside. He's like, no, you're not. I was like, right, okay, I'm gone. I'm done. Like, hard railroading my character and telling me what my character would do. That nearly drove me out of D&D entirely. But instead I just went, do you know what? I'm not going to be him, and I'm going to run my own games. And I now see what not to do. And that's what I've done ever since.
And we've all benefited from it, yeah.
But the silliest death I think I've ever seen from a character in one of my campaigns, a grave cleric, okay, in the underworld of a high fantasy campaign, in front of the river Styx, watching the river of souls flow down, goes, can I try and put my hand in it? Yeah, if you want to. If you want to. Again, it was a new player. I was like, if you want to, sure, but are you sure? He goes, yeah, I've said it now, I'm going to do it. So I turned around and said, can you roll 4d6 for me? He goes, yeah, sure. So rolls 4d6. Okay. Can you roll me another 4d6? Yeah, rolls another 4d6. So I'm making notes. And again, he goes, how much damage am I taking? I went, you're not taking any damage. I went, you're rolling a new character. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, you put your hand in the river Styx, it's instant death. Your soul is ripped from your body as your body falls lifeless to the ground. There is no saving you. And he's like, sure, fair enough.
To be fair, anyone who goes to the Lairs Fell should probably be aware of that fact.
It was a grave cleric as well, on top of things. He didn't ask for any checks. I asked him to do the checks. I was like, you know this is a bad idea. Do you still want to do it? He's like, yeah, I said I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
All right. If you gave him fair warning, then I have no problems with this. It's just funny. It's the funniest way to tell someone to roll a new character.
But yeah, anyway, back to the topic at hand. I want to know, does anything in the setting, because obviously we're playing in Veliarius, which is a very dark, very gruesome setting in a lot of ways. Has anything stood out to you as especially eerie or unsettling?
The only thing that bothers me in this entire campaign setting is Sherivan not being able to comprehend that Avon Carter is a vampire. That's the only thing that bothers me in my bones, because I know it's for a reason, right? There's something going on, and I'm saying kudos to you because that actually bothers me. It's actually the only disturbing thing in the entire setting is that.
Is that you're not sure why or how she's become to this point where she's like, no, he's legit. This is the guy I work for. I know he's legit.
And that is the only thing that I is feels so out of place in this entire setting. Otherwise, it's just like this wonderful painting, and then just like, hey, why is Waldo in this painting? Like, it just is so jarring. That is a thread we're just gonna have to pull at until the whole sweater comes loose, you know?
I'm guessing that also answers this next question about which part of the world has given you the biggest sense of dread or curiosity.
Um, that's mostly it. Because I mean, I hate to say this, it's kind of all uniformly horrible. But like, yeah, there's like the political intrigue of like the king,
In the best possible
um,
way.
and it's yes, in the best possible way. And there's the all of his relatives and the nobles. Um, there's this like sickness that's going around, to make magic annoying. To, but like, what have we really been subjected to that isn't like just like our own decisions coming back to haunt us, right?
I mean,
But like,
I'd say there was quite a bit, to be fair. So obviously you had the whole situation with Poland in the beginning, wandering through the forest, finding Bulgaran and being cursed, who'd done this hunt a number of times. You've seen what self-sustaining magic does to people through Astrid Corkel in Foregon in the starting village. You saw the effect that self-sustaining magic has on people and how it affects people. Luckily, I don't think you've seen much of what the actual curse does to people that use healing magic, so perhaps that's an element I need to bring in a little bit sooner.
that is partially why I have taken the feat Inspiring Leader to mitigate the use of healing magic. Because we all know that Seraphim, if they play another cleric, is totally going to use healing magic.
Although there is a fun little thing that happened in Sunday night's campaign. So one of the NPCs used healing magic completely unaffected, and the party didn't cotton on.
Oof. But like, we haven't experienced enough healing magic ourselves, so think
No.
like, oh, it happens like immediately the first time. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's a slow burn. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like the more frequent or the more powerful the use of this magic, the worse it's going to be. So, do you feel that the risk versus reward is there in your decision making?
Yes. And I think that all of this is tempered by the fact that, you're very like cognizant, aware DM, and that if we really need a resource, you won't make it too punishing to use. Um, so like you're gonna balance it. So it's not gonna be like a painful game. It's gonna be fun but like thrilling. So I and I think you've successfully like mitigated just the overuse of magic for everything.
Mm.
Um,
See, I think that's one
even
of
though
my.
that's
I think
not going to stop us from casting guidance all the
no,
time.
no. But I think that's one of my biggest bugbears in fantasy settings as a whole, not just in terms of D&D. I mean, you even see it in Game of Thrones, the TV series. I can't mention about the books because I haven't actually read the books, but certainly in the TV series, it's a low magic setting, and even then, the magic in the setting feels like, well, if it has this effect. Why not just do that from the beginning? You know, it's like how at the end of Game of Thrones you see the Night King and he throws an ice spear directly through a dragon and then resurrects a dragon. But yet we know these skeletons can't swim. But yet the undead go under the water, somehow chain up a dragon, and then pull it back up to the surface. And, you know, all this kind of magic. And it's like, well, why didn't he do that in the first place? Why didn't he do that when dragons were ranging around the world all the time? Now, the answers might be in the book. But because it's not answered in the media that has been viewed the most, it's kind of almost immersion breaking for me. And the same can be applied for D&D. So, say for example, you have an assassin on the loose, and the assassin gets to the king, unalives the king. Well, the king has coffers and loyal servants. Surely the loyal servants go down to the nearest temple, find the nearest cleric and go, oh, can you just revive the king for us? Oh yeah, sure. Zero consequence. Other than for the assassin who then gets identified. And
I totally see that in like most like high fantasy settings that you typically play D&D in. It's like, yeah, the rich, they get to live forever basically. And I think you've done a really good job of making a world also where the assassin has already killed the king and the consequences are still there. I love that we're coming to this world in like in media res, like in the middle of a larger tapestry of things that are happening. We're not the instigators of every little thing. And I really like that about your world.
I think this is part of the reason why I say to people in Session Zero that my worlds are living, breathing organisms. Because you're born into a world that's already moving. You're not born into a brand new world that's only just appeared. Not to say that that wouldn't be an interesting world to play in. You know, that you are born into what is effectively a very, very early style of civilization, and you're learning all these different things about your world. But I think that for the most part, the imperative message in my campaigns is that the world doesn't revolve around you players, but the story revolves around you players. And that's a key difference. Everyone has their own lives. There's all these moving pieces all the time going on. You will meet an NPC multiple times if they're an NPC that's on the move. It's a stationary location. Take, for example, the tavern that you've recently received. That's going to be an important port of call for you as players to refer back to. That they're going to get you information from travellers, from people going through that town. And it's me as a GM that has to track all that bloody information. So thank you very much for that job. I'm more thanking me because I'm the one that gave it to you.
Yeah. If the world wasn't living, breathing, like fleshed out, we wouldn't want to interact with it. We'd be like, oh, these are just NPCs and not oh, these are people of this town, of this nation that has information that we can use. We would just be like, oh, they're just NPCs, who cares, right? Like, if the world were not as, like, fleshed out and living as it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it's one of the few things that I pride myself on as a GM is my ability to create these living, breathing worlds that players can really feel that are alive. Now, there are things that, as a GM, I struggle with. For example, combat, puzzles, and dungeon design. They are my weak points. And I do have this really bad habit of trying to avoid them if I can. But it's like you said the other week, you want that meat on the bone. You want the dungeon diving every now and again. You want to be thrown into a situation that genuinely feels dangerous. And not just...
No. It doesn't have to feel dangerous, but it has to feel, like, not trivial.
Yes. yeah. Um, and I thought I did a good job with that puzzle, to be fair. It was a very complex puzzle, and you're right, you could have logicked your way through it, but you got lucky with a couple of rolls and managed to work it out.
Well, the big hint was Friend of Crow, and that let us solve the puzzle.
Oh yeah,
And then coincidentally, we came across the right answer once we realized that the other keys won't work and the other locks are just dummies. But we did not figure out the logic in your wording because it just like is just missing information.
Yeah, and the missing information was partly intentional because what I wanted to have was you to do like a history check or something against the note eventually, and then for you to realise that actually this coding is very typical of the Thieves Guild that you're aware of, the Ravens. It is very typical that they use this kind of numerical coding rather than straight up words. It's not quite.
And instead, we just thought really hard about it and we figured it out.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine because obviously I have to give you guys a couple of ways to figure it out. Otherwise, we could be sat there for days and you just going, "Arr!" And I really don't want a 3-4 hour session of you guys just sitting there struggling over a puzzle whilst a shambling skeleton keeps getting back up.
I think we did okay.
Yeah.
Despite not having the information from that history check, I think we did okay. We stumbled on it and did an okay time on that puzzle, I think. I hate word association puzzles. You know, like if you ever play Blueprints, I hate those kind of puzzles that are just like, well, this word has this semantic meaning, which is similar to the semantic meaning of another word, which is the word that you really need to use to solve the puzzle. I hate puzzles like that. Like, if you give me a logic puzzle...
Where's pen and paper? Word puzzles.
Yeah. Or, like, the puzzles in the book Maze, if you've ever
I can't say
read
I've
that
read them.
Okay.
But I know what you mean by word association.
Yeah, and it's like those puzzles don't hit the same for everyone, and I don't like that. But if you give me a pure logic puzzle, like you have to sort X coins and find out which coin is the fake coin in like 3 moves or whatever, then it's like that's trivial. Like, so it's really hard because you know,
avoid logic.
I love puzzles, but like if I don't have all the answers, then I can't solve the puzzle. Like if I don't have all the information.
Yeah. Avoid logic.
So that's what it boils down to. Like, it's what it boils down to. If you have all the information, you can solve the puzzle. If you don't have all the information, then
I think
it's not possible.
I think for me, as a GM, one of the things that put me off building logic puzzles and puzzles as a whole, to be fair, is I had an IRL campaign. And this campaign went on for about 2 years, which is absolutely fine. And there was a player in that group, and I kid you not, there was no way I could out-puzzle him. Even the most complex puzzles that I could work out and design, he would have solved in 2 or 3 minutes. To the point, at one point, he sat there silent with the party trying to figure out this puzzle. I went, "You already have the answer, don't you?" He goes, "Yeah, of course I do. I'm just letting them have fun with it and letting them trying to work it out."
Oh, that's nice of him. Nice.
I mean, he was a really experienced player and, you know, great to have at the table. But yeah, so for me, I think that I find there's normally at least one puzzler at a table. And it's those people that I want to challenge, but I don't think I have the intellectual acumen when it comes to puzzle design to challenge them.
It's okay. D&D doesn't have to be about puzzles.
Oh no, I know, but you know, I like to mix up the challenges and what's going on. I do, in fact, and I have in fact already started to work out the next puzzle, and the next puzzle isn't going to be words or numbers or really even logic. It's going to be oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, what do we do, what do we do, what do we do?
Here's my one piece of advice when it comes to puzzles. Don't make it an all or nothing. If you have a puzzle in D&D, have tiers of rewards, okay? Like, if you can't solve the puzzle, you get no bonus. If you can solve the puzzle a little bit, then you get, like, I don't know, X minutes to do something. You get a +1 bonus, whatever, +2 to your saves. If you can solve the puzzle completely, though, then you can become immune to the effect, you know? Like...
Oh, yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean, and the type of thing you're getting at. And it is something that I have applied via other games as well in the past. So
everyone hates being kept by a puzzle.
Oh yeah. I'm never going to be that GM that doesn't give you a way to get out.
Make puzzles optional and rewarding is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, and if I don't, like, for example, you had that that puzzle that I gave you in the last session. That was, we need to solve this to get through the gate. But there were plenty of clues, and I had plenty of checks and rolls behind it that you could make that would eventually trigger something in one of you to go, oh, hang on a minute, we need to use this one key in all the flipping locks.
Yes. And then I realized that once. I was like, well, the puzzle doesn't really refer to any other keys. It only refers to the one key out of 4. And if the other key doesn't work, then why not just keep trying to use that same key? Yeah. So...
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm gonna give myself points for that one.
Absolutely. Like, between you and Nyla, you both worked that one out pretty quickly. I say pretty quickly, about half an hour, 45 minutes, which I think is fairly reasonable for a puzzle. And I like the way I gave the ones that I knew wouldn't enjoy puzzles as much something to do whilst the puzzle was going on.
And you can see I just completely ignored the comment. I'm like, key. And then they're like fighting the skeleton, and it's like, key. Numbers. At first, I thought it was like a word cipher. So it was like, Friends of Crow will know, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was like substituting the letters CROW and KNOW. But that didn't seem to produce any things. But then I realized that all the numbers in the middle were the same. So, of course, I came to the erroneous conclusion that it was like, as the crow flies.
I mean, it wasn't a completely unfounded assumption, though. That,
yes.
You know, it is straight down the middle. Because if you think about it, from the key's perspective, it's one key.
Yeah.
So it wasn't completely
you
unfounded
just open
logic.
every lock, yeah.
It wasn't completely unfounded logic. The I think the error on my part with that puzzle was perhaps I got a little bit too cryptic with it.
It was very cryptic. I don't think anyone was going to figure out the meaning of each line.
No. The thinking behind it for me was that you would figure out of it, like, line by line, one by one, like what each one meant.
No. The numbers were useless.
No?
We only solved it through like the words, really, and that one clue that is like down the middle. That wasn't actually a clue. It just happened to be coincidentally correct.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a terrible puzzle though, and I think that if you give to a different group, they might have to use more of the resources you had, but you know, they would also say it's an okay puzzle.
I mean, this is the thing. I tested it with a couple of groups of people whilst when I designed the puzzle. I was like, okay, I'm going to give you all a puzzle. Can you solve it? and I think out of maybe 10, 15 people, 4 people got sort of the answer in a roundabout sort of way. And I think most of them came to the conclusion in the same way that you did, by friend of crow, shiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Shiny key. I think that's the way most of them. But a lot of the other information, although it had meaning behind it, was also a distraction from the really simple answer that was staring in the face.
Yeah.
In terms of your own character and character development, when you look at Ravina when she first came into the campaign to where she is now, do you feel like that there's been enough opportunity for her to grow as a character?
I think a little of it, but I don't think her time has really come yet. So, Ravina at the beginning is a drifter. She's just like out there having fun, doing whatever, just getting by. And she's an adventurer. She's traveling around, having fun. Nothing's tying her down, right? But now she has like a group of people that, there are stakes involved, and the people around her are important now. So she's kind of like starting to care about these people more. And I was like, part of that I was framing as in like, well, Ravina kind of has this like crush on this like nerdy wizard, like androgynous wizard, and that they're so accident prone that you can't help but want to just like protect them a little bit. So I kind of like was like using that as like an in-character motivation to like stay with the party, because in my head as a player I'm trying to think, okay, Ravina is a very free-spirited character. Why does she care about the world ending? And it's not because she thinks she can necessarily stop it, but because she just wants to see these people, and especially this one person, to be safe. And she gets fulfillment out of that. Otherwise, she would just go enjoy the time she has left on this planet before the Dark One destroys everything, right? And it's like the prophet said, if she does nothing, then the world will probably be okay, fine, right? Or at least it won't explode into bad things. Eventually Zero will die and the world will be kind of safe again, according to them. But then she's like, no, I don't want Zero to die. So she's willing to like fight the powers that be in order to, help these people. So it's these personal connections, like what I've decided is her motivation. But
Amazing.
Part of what's going on right now, right? Seraphim has died again, and Zero is going crazy, and Ravina's invisible in the corner through this entire thing. And internally, she's just feeling this immense shame. Like, she couldn't protect someone next to her. Like, she was there and there was nothing she could do. And like, you can hear the party talk about like, well, where's Ravina? This is like Ravina's fault, right? And it's like, she does feel like kind of guilty for this, like, because she tried to talk to the bandits and it didn't work out, and then Seraphim got caught in the crossfire. Not entirely because of like not his own decisions, partially because of his own decisions, but yeah. So there's this like guilt, and it's like she can't confront the party right now, and like deal with her emotions because she's like an emotionally immature person. Like she doesn't blame herself for anything, and it's like finally like starting to blame herself for something. She like, it's hard for her to deal with it. Like I think of her as a teenager, It's like her world is kind of small, and she's trying to like open it up a little bit, and when good and bad things happen, like her sense of responsibility needs to grow more.
Absolutely. I think it is rather interesting that you talk about her sense of responsibility growing, when she has also taken on kind of this like almost leadership role to the party. She's not directly in charge of the party, but she knows her way around talking to the party to her way of thinking and getting the party to go in that direction.
Yeah, because she thinks she's right. She just thinks she's right.
Which 9 times out of 10 she is.
And who in the party is going to tell her that she's wrong?
Just to let you know, Zero does say hi. She's sitting in on the TikTok live as well.
Hi, Zero.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we go through the party, right? Sebastian and Ev starting to sow the seeds of doubt, but not really like in the party enough to like have that much sway. Right? But they are starting to sow the seeds of doubt. Zero is too emotionally wrapped up in her own, oh my god, I have to save Poland, everything bad is because of me, I'm causing everyone to die. Like, she's gonna do what she's told, okay? She's easy to manipulate if we're being very, very cynical. Nyla does not have enough self-confidence, right?
Zero just put ouch.
She's very insecure.
Yeah.
So for her to step up to someone who is not trying to like do her harm, like Nyla is very protective also, but for her to step up to someone like Rivian who's trying to help and is very forward and very commanding, then Nyla's not really gonna be able to do that, right? Because like she's not an enemy. Ravina's not an enemy, so she can't stand up to her. And we talk about Seraphim, right? Seraphim his player is a little bit too new to guide a party or to have strong opinions about where they should go. Okay? And then let's see.
I think that's it, isn't it?
No, I'm talking about I always forget what Thalia changed her name to. Azura, yeah. So Azura, again, is very unmotivated by anything other than, immediate pleasure or like protecting the rest of the party, right? So it doesn't really matter to her where should they go. So which of them are going to be a leader? And if it wasn't Ravina, the leader would probably either be Nyla or Sebastian and Ev. But Sebastian and Ev is a little bit too new, so it'd probably be Nyla, right? But in the presence of someone who's like as headstrong as Ravina, she ends up being the leader because Nyla can't confront someone who's not an enemy, I think.
Yeah. I think the party did have a leader forming in the form of Xavier. Unfortunately, stuff happened.
Yeah, I would have been more than happy to let Xavier tell everyone what to do and then just work in the shadows. But that didn't happen. And Ravina has Xavier's wedding ring now as a little reminder of that.
And that's actually quite symbolic, thinking about it in a roundabout sorts of way, because as we were just saying, Xavier sort of was starting to take that kind of leadership role, that role of, right, okay, let's get our heads together, let's think about this before we act. And when he perished, the fact that Ravina took that ring and then kind of subsumed that role from Xavier is very symbolic.
Every time I open my inventory, I see Xavier's wedding band, and it's like, well, that is something that means something to Ravina.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this lot of scene. I I'm a little conflicted about how to feel about the party wiping out all of Ravina's future friends. Um, I feel like is 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 this gonna be a trend? You know, because like when we went to the Masons, right, to find the
Mm-hmm.
prophets of Herodotus,
Oh,
Ravina was blustering. Like, what is Ravina was intimidating them, but it was just
mm,
a show of force. She was never actually gonna hurt anyone, right?
correct.
And then when when it made it clear that like they were going to fight back, she was like, "Okay, I'm out. I'm running. Everyone else should run, right?" And she tells
Mm,
them everyone else should run. But then some of them decide to run into the building more. And the other ones decide to fight. And I'm the first one out, and I'm like, where is everyone in character? And in character, I have no idea that they stay and fight and kill two of these people. So then the next day in character, when we hear about it, it's like, you killed the Masons? What? You killed two of the Masons? And she's just like out of character, yes, I know, shit happened, but in character, she's just like incredulous
mm.
that the rest of the party would just murder innocent people like that, right? Especially since like she's a good aligned character. She's not gonna abide like an evil character creature like the Ublex, right? The Ublex eats people.
Yeah.
And it's like the party's just cool with that. It's like, yeah, as long as you don't eat anyone we know, it's like whatever, just do your thing. Yeah, thanks. We're gonna call you Bob. It's like, what the
Just as a note, I think it was Jeff.
Jeff? Yeah, yeah. It's like Ravina's just like, what is with you guys, right? Like how can this be okay with you? And now with this like a group of people, right? The bandits, it's like the bandits were fighting in self-defense. Like you provoked them, and it's like you murdered all of them with a fireball. And I'm just like, at this point, Ravina realizes, oh my god, my party members are murder hobos. And this is going to influence all of her future decisions, because as much as she cares for the party, she can no longer trust the party, it feels like. And there's also like this emotional feeling of like someone died in the party, like, and there was nothing she could do except it happened because of something she did. And the people in the party are thinking like, is Ravina like orchestrating all these events so that bad things will happen? And Ravina's also like, man, everything I try just turned out shitty, right? Like, see, going backwards, Trudy died. Poland's in a hole. Poland's sister killed her dad. And let's see, the king died, and the country's in turmoil, and now all these Ravens Guild bandits are dead, and it just seems like everything just doesn't work out for her, which is fine in a horror campaign, but it's getting to her. It's starting to get to her. But yeah, thinking about the party, they seem to be murder hobos, and they seem to be a little bit less trustworthy than Ravina might have thought.
So, just to touch on a couple of things there. So, I love inter-party conflict when it's done well. Obviously, inter-party conflict can become a problem amongst certain groups of players, but I think you guys as a group handle it really, really well. It's like, we may not fully trust each other, or there may be elements of distrust here, but we at least trust each other enough that we know we're going to protect each other if we have to. Because ultimately, we need each other. It's not even so much a case at the moment of we want to stick together because we're all best friends. No, we need to stick together because our skill sets are lining up. You know, our personal motives may get in the way from time to time, but we're not going to let that stop us trying to form and work as a team. And the further this story develops and the further this goes on, I think those inter-party conflicts and those interpersonal problems within the party are actually going to become your crutch as a group. You know, we've been through worse kind of situation, you know. Because obviously I know kind of where this campaign is going. And there is going to be a... So as you know, the world is very open sandbox. And yes. The idea is eventually you will have visited at least a couple of locations in each region so that you can get a full feel of how the different societies interact, the different regions exist. Bloody TikTok Live trying to end me. How the different regions exist. But it's not entirely doom and gloom. That there's still hope there. You know.
Yeah, and we find hope all the time. Like, the city is kind of nice, actually.
See, Lord Avon Carter built a nice town.
Yeah, and he may be a power-hungry vampire, but he's not the most evil dude in the world, so...
And I think this is one of the key themes that you've picked up on from this campaign. It's that the whole world isn't all doom and gloom. Things aren't always going to be as they initially appear. You know, you meet a vampire lord who is power-hungry, as most politicians are anyway, but he's not going out and murdering every single one of his citizens. He's sitting in his castle feeding on goat's blood.
Yeah. The thing about the inter-party relationships, right, is you're talking about how Ravina's kind of stepped up to be a leader, but at this point, it's like getting harder for her to trust the party and for the party to trust her. Right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like all of her decisions have come back to, like, bite them. Even though if she didn't make those decisions, there'd probably be other outcomes equally as bad, right?
Yeah. And
so
this is one of my favourite themes of the campaign. It's grey morality. You know, it's never going to be all roses and, you know, sunshine. There's going to be that element of whatever decision we make here is going to have a positive and a negative outcome, potentially. And one is going to snowball into the other. And this is what you are going to find. This is a running theme throughout not just the kingdom you're exploring, but the whole continent. And even when you get to Astucia, which, as you're already aware of, is run by the underground, it's run by the criminal networks, you're going to find that actually, is it the criminal networks that are the problem here? Or is it what's on the surface? And that will be for you guys to figure out for yourselves and decide for yourselves what's going to ultimately be for the best.
I'm so excited to see Astucia. I want to see my home. I want to see my home.
You want to go home after all these years?
It'd be kind of nice, yeah. But yeah, I'm also looking forward to that interpersonal conflict of, like, you have a leader who's trying to do good, but the rest of the party is just kind of neutral. And it seems like all of her decisions are backfiring. So it's like they're going to be less inclined to do good and just like look out for themselves from now on. And that's something we're going to have to deal with later. And I'm really interested to see how that happens, like the interpersonal stuff. I'm really worried about getting the rest of the party to trust me, because up until now, I've kind of had their blind faith, right? Like, I could tell them to go jump off a cliff and they would trust me. But now it's like, I've lost a lot of that trust. And they'll be like, I don't want to jump off a cliff, even though, like, I know that we have Featherfall prepared, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just reading through my questions quickly. Were there moments? So we've talked about choice and how choices have ultimately affected the campaign. And as you know, I'm a very, very open sandbox GM. I like to leave decisions open-ended. Was there ever a moment that you felt, I really have no other choice in this?
Yes. In that, there's time pressure. But it didn't come from you, okay? It came from the rest of the party. So, I am so excited for the fact that this is an open-ended campaign. Like, it's a sandbox campaign, you can do what you want. And the one thing I really wanted to do was be proactive and establish an information network in this city. You know? I want to break into either the noble gossip or the tavern gossip. I wanted to get some feelers out, hire some people, and that kind of action is not a quest you've given us. It's not an objective. It is something proactive that I wanted to do to better our situation.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of thing that you say, like, what do you do during your downtime? And it's this, right? I want to establish connections.
Yeah, and I think Ravina has done a really good job of that. So you've already established a connection with Shiravrin. Now, whether or not the outcome of your connection with Shiravrin was good or bad is irrelevant. You have her on side because you gave her information that she then used with her own discretion. But she now But she now trusts you because of that information that you've given her.
And I think I've explained this before out of character during the session, which is Shiravrin seems like lawful good. Shiravrin seems like a character, an NPC that I want to trust my character and me as a player. Like, is an NPC worth befriending because she will do what is right, even if it's according to her own rules, you know?
Yeah.
But the reason why I felt like I couldn't get all that done, right? It's like, yes, make connections. The party talks to Lord David Carter. I talk to Shiravrin, and never the twain shall mate, you know? But because I don't want anything to do with Avon Carter. Avon Carter is definitely a neutral, slightly evil kind of NPC to interact with, and I don't like that as a Ravina. And I know that, and I am okay with letting the rest of the party deal with Lord Avon Carter, even though she doesn't want to do it herself, because again, like, Ravina doesn't want to get her hands dirty with, like, murdering people and, like, doing evil acts, even though it happens all the time around her. It's just her life. She's used to that, but whenever possible, she will abstain, you know, from murder, from thievery, from crimes, right?
Very kind of passive assertive in her approach.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm not gonna stop the party from doing stuff unless it's like truly evil, right? Because they have player agency.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to branch out more. I wanted to create like an information guild in the city if we're gonna be here for a long time. But what happened was Zero got that dream message from Poland and had to go investigate immediately, right? And I know Zero wants to go find Poland, and that means that I can only hold her off for so long, and only if it will benefit finding Poland will her character accept not going to see Poland. Like, if it'll increase the chances of her finding Poland, she will agree to wait like an hour or two, right? But it's limited. So that plan was not able to be put into motion, really. Yes, we managed to talk to Sheriff Rin because stuff, but and only because like I drew on all that trust she has for me that we pushed her back a day from entering the sewers. But yeah, that time pressure doesn't come from you. It comes from Zero and her character rushing to find Poland.
So, Zero did actually ask a question. What truly defines evil for Ravina? So obviously you say Ravina is okay with it to a certain extent with, for example, the party murdering the Masons Guild was a problem for Ravina, but she didn't see it evil to the extent that she had to intervene or leave the group.
Oh, she was not aware until the day after, right? When she hears, I think from, was it Sheriff Ren said like you murdered two Masons, and I was like, what? And then at that moment she's just like, I didn't really like point it out, but her eyes kind of like bugged out. It was like, what did you do? What did you do when I was in the hole? And so to her, right? It's like she kind of grew up in like the Thieves Guild or spent a lot of time there. So to her, like, it's kind of like mafia rules. If you're an innocent, you don't get touched. Okay? If you are just an innocent good person, doing harm to you is against the rules. If you've committed crimes, then you can pay for them. If you are going to hurt innocent people, that's evil, and you're gonna have to pay for that. Yeah, and it's like, it's kind of based off that.
Okay. Yeah, that. So a bit like the Cray twins, as an example. A lot of people when the Cray twins were around felt a lot safer than if the Bobbies were down the street. They felt more safe if the Cray twins were about than if the Bobbies were down the street, because they knew Cray twins would handle business if they needed to handle business. But if you were somebody's if you were like a grandmother going down the street with her grandkids, they'd help you cross the street. Like they'd make sure you were safe on the street. And that's the kind of people they were. They were this. They were some of the most violent criminals in our history, but they still had a moral code of, okay, if you're innocent, if you're elderly, if you're young, if you're a woman, we're going to look after you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. But it's even more, it's just her feelings. Like, she left the Thieves Guild because she doesn't want to hurt people. She doesn't want to take from them. She doesn't want to hurt them. She doesn't want to kill them. That's just like, doesn't sit with her morally. And to hear other people hurt people, it hurts her. But she can rationalize that, yeah, it's self-defense, and like there are more important things happening at the time, but and that she can't decide for other people what they should do. Like her idea of personal freedom is very, very strong.
Mm.
Like if you want to do something and you're powerful enough to do it, be my guest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you want to hurt someone and I don't feel like it and I'm more powerful than you, I'm going to stop you. Like it just doesn't sit well with her. So that's her sense of good and evil. Like she just it doesn't sit well with her. And you know,
this I
is
think
there something she can do about it?
this I think is one of the subjects I want to touch on, is morality in the TTR in D&D specifically, because obviously everyone is familiar with the 9x9 grid of D&D. You know, you've got lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, true neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil. And for me, that chart doesn't sit right. And the reason I say that chart doesn't sit right is because good people do bad things, and bad people can do very, very good things. And to place yourself on that board is like going, okay, I'm going to be a lawful good character. I must abide by the law of the land. Okay, cool, but what if the law of the land is that, you know, somebody, I don't know, steals a loaf of bread for their starving children, they're to be stoned to death? Are you still lawful good if you abide by that law? Does that make sense?
And yeah, and then you have to decide, like, is it it was always about like what is your law, right? But that chart is a relic. It's for a game where, you know, you're not thinking about NPCs as full-fledged characters. You're thinking of them as tools.
Yes.
As creatures in a game, you know, as pawns.
Yep.
So that chart is not relevant in this world where the game is more about role playing than winning.
Yes, absolutely. Although, and I have to have it said, there is only one way to win at D&D, and this party
to buy
have
your
done
DM
it.
Pizza.
Well, there's that. I mean, I do have the order pizza button in there for a reason. But the other way to win at D&D is to make your DM corpse. Make them just burst out of laughter and break in character, or just do something so off the wall that the GM's going, "Oh my god, what do I do now? How do I bring my party back from this?"
That is very satisfying, yes.
And this party has done it on a couple of occasions where I've just gone, "Oh my god, do you know what? I hold my hands up." Like Sunday's campaign 0, yes. Like Sunday's campaign, indeed.
So it's always been less like, it's always been on this assumption that the character or the creature is innately good or innately evil, right? Like how devils and demons are just innately evil, yes. Right? And how barbarians are innately chaotic, and paladins are innately lawful good. And if you really get down to it, like that assumption stops working once you get to a certain level of realism.
Yes.
So if you take it in the abstract, it can be a useful chart. So like Ravina is definitely like chaotic good because, you know, she cares about the well-being of people that are not herself and not going to immediately benefit her. And she cares about like personal freedom, that everyone gets to decide what they do for themselves. They decide on their own fate. And she understands that like how much freedom you have is directly proportional to how much power you have, how much ability to influence the world. And if you are more powerful than someone else, then their freedom overrides yours, and that the world is a gray place where not everyone gets to be happy. So like that's why like the party occasionally doing like evil things or necessarily evil things doesn't really bother her, because one, she thinks like everyone can do what they want, I'm going to do what I want, right? And if I want to, I will stop the party. But it hasn't really come to that yet. But yeah, Ravina could do evil things, like, you know, kill people that she just thinks are terrible, like the Ublex, right? In a certain world, like if she murdered that Ublex we found, the party would think she's evil, right? And she would think she's good. And it's like, if you don't assume that there is innate alignment to people and characters and monsters, then like the chart doesn't mean anything.
No, exactly.
All it is like, how much do you care about other people as opposed to yourself, and how much are you rooted by a moral code as opposed to just whatever.
Yeah, as compared to how do I feel at the time. If you could choose one key moment for Ravina in the campaign so far, what moment do you think would most define her in her current state?
Probably seeing Zero in her shapeshifter thing, manacled, being dragged by Shira Vryn, and just being like, going off to be tortured, and it's like, I failed, and I need to salvage this. And then when she couldn't salvage it, and she wished it all away to save Zero from that. So she sacrificed all this like immense celestial power just so that Zero wouldn't have to suffer. I think that's part of it, yeah.
That would be amazing. That's amazing.
And then to a lesser extent, it's this current one, because it's going to be really formative for her watching Seraphim die. And like the rest of the party goes up to Zero to comfort them, right? They're all like, oh, Zero, are you okay? And they're like trying to like fight off the bad guys and like protect them. Sorry, I keep saying her. Protect Zero, see if there's anything to do to save Seraphim. Well, Ravina's in the corner, just like can't deal with it, and doesn't feel like she can interact with the rest of the party. And this like this rift between them is gonna grow and grow, I feel like.
See, again, I don't want to give anything away, but my Sandra. Oh, we have a guest. We are doing a live podcast record. We are doing a live podcast recording, but absolutely, I will invite you up, Sandra. Always a pleasure to have somebody join us.
Hey guys. Hello?
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, I'm speaking. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Do you have a question for us, or?
I was kind of wondering what this after the roll. What's this podcast about?
So I have recently rebranded to FerventDrift, and after the roll is me asking my fellow players, they're all part of my professional tables, about their experiences and how they feel their characters are developing throughout the campaign, and what their feelings are towards the campaign itself.
I've only played one style of D&D, and the game's over usually in about 20 minutes. So I couldn't give you much intake on that.
Okay.
Yeah, just to let you know.
Sorry, Sandra. I was very, very confused by your entry there. Ba, 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 ba. That's really like thrown me out. I don't think I'll be doing that again. What were we talking about beforehand?
Important events to the character. What is the most
Yeah.
important event?
Oh yes, yeah. I did have. If this campaign was to be placed into like an existing novel or movie or story, where would you place it? Where do you think it would belong?
So I read a lot of webtoon on my phone, and it's a lot of the character suffers, and then they barely get past this thing, and then they suffer again, and they barely get past this thing, and then they suffer and barely get past this thing, and there's a lot of emotional ups and downs, and I feel like this kind of reminds me of that. It's very gritty. It's not anime like, it's not cartoon like, it's not HBO like. It's very webcomic-y.
Is that a good thing?
um as far as like all my D&D campaigns go, right? This is the best one because let's see, I'm on Tuesday I play Asmodeus. So the pre-written module campaign. And that's really, really fun. And we're a very like technical group, and we solve everything with magic, and it's great because there are a lot of chances for like emotional stuff because we are going into hell and dealing with those things, but it's fun, but it's not like super deep. On Fridays I play a game with my roommate, and we are in the Underdark, and it's also just like very fun, you know. I'm playing a stinky sea elf that is a spores druid, so he's just like making old friends because they can't smell his farts. Making undead friends. And then there's this game which has like actual emotional ups and downs, and it's like it's so satisfying. It's the one game I look forward to like every single week. Not because it's like a distraction from things, but it's like because I've been thinking about this game all week, and like throughout the day I was like thinking, how do I deal with the party? You know, how do I get them to trust me again? How do I interact with them? How am I supposed to present myself in the face of a character death? And it's like that is the kind of like consideration that, you know, the game evokes because it's so well crafted, and I like it a lot.
Oh, I will take that as the highest praise. I'll be honest with you, because
it is.
Because for me, I have serious imposter syndrome, and a lot of DMs suffer with imposter syndrome. You know, I'm not really good enough for this. I shouldn't be doing this. You know, and a lot of it stems from the Matt Mercer effect. And not for me personally, because Matt Mercer is a completely different style of GM to myself. However, I have been told by several players now over the years that there are those Mercer moments in my games where the whole party is just like, oh my god, like what's going on? You know, and for me, it in a big-headed kind of way, it's nice to hear that people are this invested, and you're not the only one. Like, people say to me, you know, I really can't wait for next week. I really can't wait for the next session, and I always try to leave it on somewhat of a cliffhanger. You know, sometimes they're bigger cliffhangers than others, but I always try to leave a little something, a little tidbit of something for you guys to be going, oh my god, what could this be? Where is this going? And your descent into the mines, which is obviously coming on Saturday, is something that I have been looking forward to for a very, very long time. Because I've got... So obviously Zero's been in the mines, but only very briefly. Mostly because I didn't want to unalive a level 1 character.
I am totally expecting someone else to die. And I'm just hoping that's not me.
So...
I'm going to start psyching myself up. Like, as soon as we leave. 10 minutes later, I want my 10 hit points back.
So, descending into the mines is definitely going to be a layered event. You know, because unlike other places in Gallo where you descend down into a cave, you're already there. You're in the mines. You're by the mine carts. You're by the elevators. In Trinaria, they've actually built a system from those existing cave systems on top of the mines. And so, you know, you obviously saw a very brief moment of that, and I'm hoping you've kind of got a hint as to what these tunnels are currently being used for. And there will definitely be more NPCs throughout the dungeon, because dungeon NPCs for me are some of the most interesting. Again, primarily because the questions of things like, why the hell are you down here? How are you still alive? Like, can I really trust you right now? Like, you're telling me, right, there's 6 of us and we're worried about coming down here. You've come down here on your own. Which means one of 2 things. You're either a threat to us, or you're exceptionally stupid and you're going to cause us danger. And, you know, quite often those dungeon NPCs can become a life or death situation, not because they themselves are a threat, but because of your decision making in that moment, in that time, is going to be so important.
The fact that that's even possible, right? Just speaks how much like prep work and effort you've put into the campaign. Just why it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, this campaign itself, I've worked on since 2022, I want to say. Pretty much, because, yeah, it was pretty much since I've been running games professionally, I've been building this world. This world currently has about 6,000 hours put into it. As does my high fantasy setting, has, you know, about the same over about 10 years of construction, design, mistakes, and a lot of the campaign writing obviously has to come from the events going on through the players' minds. So when I write this campaign, I'm going, okay, I don't need to write the story. I need to write the events. And I think this is what the pitfall that a lot of GMs fall down is. They go, I must write the story. You know, the story must be written. I must know where the players are going. I must know who they're going to speak to. And you really don't have to.
No. And that's the thing that first DM that you mentioned didn't understand.
Yeah. You have to understand the events that are going on in the world, the reasons they're going on in the world, and the roles the NPCs play in those events. And from there, you can do anything in that world with your players. You know, as I think I told you, so I've got 3 versions of this campaign going on right now, and I've run it a few times beforehand. Now, normally, in the first village, they go, "Oh my god, Poland's a demon. What? We must save him," and immediately start following Poland. Which I think you guys pretty much did in this setting. But you managed to convince the village that the demon they saw wasn't actually Poland. And that came about in a whole new way. I've had a party go further into the forest and actually convince Poland to follow them into the forest. Further into the forest, and that went oh so well for them. And I've got a party who are currently in the midst of going, well, actually, we're not going to follow Poland. We're going to go and see what's going on down in the mines. Because whatever's going on is occurring from the mines. And this is, like, for me, this is the beauty of an open sandbox campaign. Because I already know what's going on down in those mines. At that moment in time, I know what's occurring. I know what monsters are down there. And I know what the party is going to face. And, you know, going forward, that is what's going to expand the world.
And it's great that it's not just like procedurally generated. Like other DMs might just be like, yeah, I had an idea for this thing, but I don't really have any like maps or creatures. Just let me work it out until like next week or whatever. No, but you have it.
I mean, admittedly, I don't always have the maps.
Yeah, no. You
But
can throw together a map in like 5 minutes. It's fine.
I can. I don't like to. I like my maps to be just so. I like them to be a particular way. I'm very fussy when it comes to the presentation of my maps. I would rather do Theatre of the Mind than have a bad map. Or a bad representation of what I want it to display.
That's fair. I just feel like with all the free maps out there, it's not that hard to find.
Oh no, it's not hard.
A workable map.
Yeah, it's not hard to find a workable or a decent map at all. You can find them very quickly. I think for me, it's just that kind of, I want it to have that personal touch. I don't want it to be generic. And for me, that's one of the biggest things. So I've got a couple more questions for you, and then I think what we'll do is wrap it up. So, just coming to the end then, if your character had an end credits scene from that last session, what would it show?
Oh, absolutely. Just like an invisible Ravina just like sulking in the corner. Just like doubting herself, doubting her party, you know, and like forcing herself to like get up and like try to figure out the next puzzle, and just like she's pushing aside her emotions, whether that's healthy or not, but like that's something that introspection, right, is just hard to communicate in this kind of role-playing game.
Yes,
so
absolutely. But don't forget, you can always describe your character's physicalities and, you know, tones and things like that as well. That is also always an option to try and help portray that.
I'm okay with right now just letting the party not notice her and like go through their own things. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, that's.
I want to let them like just have the moment.
That's absolutely fine. And finally, one word to sum up your feelings towards this campaign so far.
I really think it might just be trust. Like being able to trust your party, being able to trust the NPCs, whether the NPCs trust you, um, not knowing who you can trust. I think that trust and lack of trust and lack of it is probably the biggest kind of theme maybe of the entire campaign so far.
Just before we go, I've just seen Mask's last comment. No, take the moment, Ravina. I don't want it anymore.
All right, I'll keep that in mind for next week.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you very much for stepping in at the last minute, Kitty. I greatly appreciate you, and I massively appreciate you as a player. It's fantastic to have you at the table. Do you have any questions for me before we go?
Ooh. Two things.
Yeah.
The related to the campaign and my character's future is one, if the rest of the party doesn't want to go to Astucia,
Yeah.
then is it okay if I just like roll a new character
In
for
the interim.
the time being until like
Yeah.
whenever they do go?
Absolutely.
Because if they don't want to go with her, then she is not going to like. She has to be responsible for this for the first time in her life. So if they don't come with her, she's going anyways, and that's gonna be like, well, new character, right?
I do think the party will go with you though.
I do think so too.
But yes, that would be absolutely fine with me. You know, I never like to tie people into the two characters. If they want to retire a character at any point, they can retire a character and bring a new character to the table. As long as it's not just a like, oh, I'm bored of this character.
On a whim, yeah.
It's like
I think that would be a legitimate reason to retire Ravina.
Oh yeah.
Just like
it's a narrative reason. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment, and there's no reason why you can't bring her back later on if you so desired.
Like save that the new character dies, but also if Ravina goes, and you and I kind of knows waiting for Ravina in Astucia, and if she decides to burn it all down, are you okay with that? Or if she decides to run away from her own responsibilities, if that's what she decides, are you going to be okay with that?
Of course I am.
And I think you will. I think you don't care what I do, but
it's not that I don't care what you do. It's more I care that you make the choices that are right for your character.
Yes.
I think that's the way I would define it, because if, say, for example, the party was an actual party of... I'm going to say it anyway, because I've already been restricted on TikTok. If the party was an actual party of murder hobos where they went around and they were slaughtering entire villages and entire towns, then I would start to have an issue with it. I would convert it into an evil campaign, and I would have other bands of heroes start to chase down the party.
I'm trying not to be evil. I'm trying very, very, very hard not to be evil. But it's like, maybe if we get to Astucia and the powers that be, like Ravina doesn't want to join them, and kind of like wants to ruin everything, or in a tantrum, or run away again, or if she wants to join them and actually become like take on that responsibility, I hope you'll be open to any of the or even other possibilities.
Oh, I've for sure got plans upon plans and contingencies upon contingencies for the direction that. So, without spoiling too much, there's already a bit of a hint with what I've done in Trinaria as to one possible outcome.
And it's really interesting that the Raven Guild reaches all the way out here so much.
Oh, they
And
spend much
you
further.
know, I was initially thinking, no, I don't want any of this. Like, I'm gonna say no to whoever's in charge, and like, F you, I'm out of here. I don't want any part of it. But after seeing like the course of the game so far, I'm starting to think, as a player, it's like, what if I actually just take over the Thieves Guild and still stay with the party? Like, what if I like defeat or murder whoever is in charge of the Thieves Guild right now, and like take over and use that power to help the party in our quest? And it's like that is an option. And then that combines with the first question, though, like, what if that power makes it so that I can't be a player character anymore, like, and I
Oh,
need
you
to
will
make a new
be.
character?
Oh no, you absolutely would be. So
Okay, okay.
it wouldn't so much be. So Ravina would know this in character anyway. The way the Ravens Guild works is
Yeah,
that they have a power elect. They don't
yeah, yeah.
have somebody who is, I was granted this because of my birthright, or
No,
I was
no.
granted this because of my skills. No, I am power elect. You have
Yeah,
chosen me to be in charge. Um, and the way I see it working is similar to the Bastion mechanics. Because I really like those Bastion mechanics. I think they're great. But it also means Ravina's going to have a responsibility to ensure it's protected.
right. So
So,
then I'm still haven't like decided, like, do I want to take on that responsibility and be beholden to the guild, or do I want to reject that but then lose out to a lot of the benefits that running a guild has?
absolutely.
It's
And,
still something I have not decided. And it
and
may be that, I want to do it. I want to take over the guild, um, and deal with the people who are in charge of the guild. But that also means I might need to leave the party for a while and do things off scene, off camera.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
just,
this is why I have the in character game discussion channel. So that things aren't necessarily hidden from the players, but obviously the party might not necessarily have that knowledge. Um, but for example, if Ravina wanted to send a note through the Thieves Guild to say, I don't know, let me know what's going on with the royalty in Gallo, as an example, well, that's going to take
I
time.
messaged you for that, yeah.
That's going to take time to go from, from you to the messenger to travel across the country to get into Gallo, to then get up onto the surface of Gallo, to then get to the keep to find out what's going on in the keep, and then to get all the way back to you. That's going to take time.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then if I wanted to start that, and I have to plan in advance, and I would just DM you about it, or put in, and then maybe put it in character,
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
And I've done some similar stuff, like
yes,
that message to Shirvin, right? So
yeah, absolutely. But no, it has been absolutely joyous having you on this evening, Kitty. I hope we can get you back again in a few weeks' time. Um, I enjoy talking with my players like this in a one-on-one environment, finding out what they feel towards the campaign, what they feel towards me as a GM, what they feel, you know, that basically their feelings as a whole. And I really don't get opportunities to do enough. So thank you again for coming on. Thank you again for all
thank you
your
for having
input.
me. I
Um,
hope I hope I can be a good player for you, like a player that helps you and all the other players have fun.
so I will just say this. So obviously I know you're one of my paying players, but I reached out to you. Remember, I reached out. I was like, "Are you looking for a game right now? Are you interested in joining a game?" And there was a
Yeah.
reason for that because even though we only had like 3 or 4 sessions together the first time round, you left that impression on me that actually this person is a valuable asset to any table going. Um, and that's because of the way you role play, the way you interact with other players, the way you push the story forward, and are always actively trying to push the story forward. And I don't mind the players that just want to, faffo every now and again. They want to, they want to go into the tavern, have drinks, and play dice with a strange gnome. That's all fun and games, and absolutely no issue with that at all. But it gets to a point.
It's a legitimate tactic too.
You need to move the story forward. If you're doing that every session, then you may as well open a casino. We'll just play Casino Simulator 5e.
Oh my god, so many times has the campaign turned into Tavern Simulator. Like, I have memories of multiple campaigns turning into Tavern Simulator, which is why, on any, strength-based characters, I always take Brewer's Proficiency, because it always turns into, you're running a tavern.
Oh my days. Hold on. So Masks just put, that sounds like fun. We can run the tavern with Jeff.
Oh god.
I just put no.
Jeff could run every part of the tavern, yes.
But no, I mean...
any drunkards who pass out, we don't have to worry about them. Jeff will take care of them.
Oh my god.
They won't remember anyways.
No, it's just giving me flashbacks to... So when the rare occasion I get to be a player, my characters are always a little bit quirky, a little bit off note, and a little bit off key for what they should be. And I was playing an Arcane Trickster Rogue, and this Arcane Trickster Rogue was literally the most innocent creature you could ever hope to meet. And he found himself in a brothel. And one of these girls said, "Hey, do you want to come and play a game?" And he's like, "Oh, a game? You mean like hide and seek?" And they were like, "If that's what you want to play, we can play hide and seek." And they're taking all the innuendos that he's putting out. But they're not innuendos to him. They are pure innocence. And so when she tries to pursue the physical contact, he's like, "What are you doing? I want to play hide and seek. I don't want to do this." And runs out the room without paying. And she's like, turns to the bouncer and is like, "Excuse me, he's not paid." He's like, I'm not going to pay. I wanted to play hide and seek, and you wanted to do things, and I don't want to do things like that. And the bouncer turns to the girl and goes, "Is this true?" And she's like, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Well, you know the rules. The customers get what they ask for." So, anyway, to cut a long story short, he ends up playing all these childhood games with all the girls in the brothel, because they all start to enjoy his mania and chaotic nature. And bearing in mind he's 127, this gnome, but he still has this very infantile mind. And the girls basically end up adopting him.
Oh.
And so trouble comes to the brothel, and they start threatening him, and all of a sudden you've got all these girls of the night surrounding Arduous, because they've adopted him and want to protect him.
It's adorable.
Arduous, though, was one of the most annoying characters I think I've ever made. Literally, his name was Arduous, Arjewus. As in arduous to deal with.
Yeah.
And,
see, my characters are usually elf rogue. Ravina is kind of a reincarnation of another elf rogue I had, another paladin elf rogue. Who in a Strahd campaign was, I don't know, a descendant of one of the Twilight Elves, whose parents had actually managed to find a way to escape the mists and sent their daughter out at the cost of their own lives. But then she gets teleported back, and then there's this complicated backstory about you know, the powers that be wanting this information from her, and her just being like raised by an assassin's guild because obviously she's a rogue.
Yeah.
And like, so Ravenna is kind of inspired by that. Except if she was friendly. So the original character was very quiet, would almost never speak to anyone unless spoken to first. Spoken almost like a whisper. Never ate meat. Never went inside buildings unless invited to and like coerced into entering. Didn't sleep obviously with the rest of the party because she's an elf. And for a while, I was trying to make a running gag to see if anyone would notice that she has very vampire-like behaviors in Strahd. But no, she's not a vampire. But yeah, she was really fun, and Ravenna gets a lot of like character cues of caring about the party, like being kind of like the a protector, but like not necessarily inside the party from her. But then she's also like, instead, the big difference is she's very personable and likes talking to people and is like maybe blunt, but like, you know, likes interacting with people. Yeah, very talkable, charismatic.
Tries to have a gentle hand with a firm foot, as was once said to me.
See, my other characters are there's Killian the pirate.
I love Killian.
Brr, I talk like this, and I be the most piratey pirate in all the 7 seas. That's the 5 main story seas and the 2 DLC seas. And he talks like that, and it's like everyone loves it. Let's see. There's Charlinger the wizard, who is a completely evil wizard, just out for knowledge for the sake of knowledge, like gaining magical power, but she disguises it so well the party does not even realize that she's evil until the end of the campaign. And the only hint they get is when she's like, oh, that wizard, he's evil, we must defeat him before he, you know, raises an evil god or whatever. And she directs the party to kill the wizard so she can get his spellbook. Not to mention, like, when she like goes out in the night, commits murder, and uses alter self to frame a different NPC who's extremely shady, and like everyone thinks that he murdered her. He murdered the
I would have so much
the
fun.
noble.
I would have so much fun playing chess with that character.
Yeah, no, she absolutely had dragon chess proficiency, I think.
I meant a metaphorical chess rather than.
But she was how you say, this was Dragonlance.
Yes.
So she was a evil white robe.
Oof.
She healed the party, made sure nothing too bad ever happened to the party. So if the party was in danger, she never stepped in until the last moment, and then she would save the day, and the party loved her for it. They were like, oh, what would we do without you? You're brilliant, you're amazing. And it's just like, no, she's just like, it doesn't use her spell slots until like absolutely necessary to save her peons. And she's so evil, and it was great. Yeah, and then the last character I generally play is like a fairy character, who's like either like they could either be the genuine fae, like very naive and childish and like kind of emotionally immature, which is very different from Ravenna, right? Or it could be the jaded office worker type who's like, yeah, I'm not actually fairy, but I got cursed to turn into a fairy, and I kind of hate it because everyone treats me like a midget and a child, and I hate it so much, and I haven't had sex in 20 years. That kind of character. So that's kind of sampling of the characters I tend to make.
I love it.
Killian is a paladin, by the way.
Yeah.
If that wasn't clear. He's a paladin, and when he does lay on hands, either like slaps you on the back real hard. It's like, "Arr, chin up, mate. You'll be fine. Just shake it off." Or he'll like hand you an orange, and it's like just like squeeze the orange into your mouth. It's like, "Get up, you're not done fighting yet." And that's his lay on hands.
Do you know? I was going to end the podcast, but I do want to ask you, where do you come? Because obviously you've got some really, really unique character voices, and I want to know how you come up with those voices.
Oh, Ravina is just like my normal voice.
Yeah.
Killian is based off Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
Love that.
And everything's kind of just like a variation. Charlotte just like really sultry, like, "Yes, I will help you if you help me." You know, always like trying to play on that sex appeal kind of approach. But the voices, I'm not that creative when it comes to voices. I like the idea of voice acting, but I'm not actually that talented at it.
I would disagree. I don't think many people would have the vocal range that you have. I certainly.
I have been told I have a wide vocal range,
I mean,
especially when singing.
I certainly don't. Like mine is very much down in the depths, and if I try to do a female voice, it normally just comes out as a very, very camp man that is talking over the microphone right now.
I mean, I'm transgender, so I've like kind of like taught myself how to talk with a more female inflection, and it's, you know, been years and years of that. I taught myself when I was like a teenager, but it didn't really come in handy until about 10 years after that when I transitioned. But also like I like singing classical music, like opera and arias. So did I ever sing for the party before? Did I ever
Yes, you have.
perform an aria? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am a baritone singer. So I'm like right in the middle of like the male singing range. So I can hit all the low notes and the high notes, but kind of excel right in the middle.
See, I used to, I actually used to train as a classical and musical singer, and then I started doing things that I shouldn't do for my throat.
Killian's voice is something you should not do for your throat, by the way.
Oh, I don't know about that, dearie. It's quite a natural place for my voice to be, you see.
This wouldn't be very deep and not very good for me. I need a lot of water afterwards, which is good because I usually just cast crates and destroy water.
I'm trying to think of the other characters that I generally try to keep just for specific characters. So you got Astrid, dear. I hope that everything is okay for you. But it's very obvious where this character was inspired from. You see, when I was growing up, there was a wonderful man on TV, and he played
named Robin Williams, right?
A beautiful range of characters, you see. And one of his most famous films, he played a range of characters within a range of characters. And yes, help is on the way, dear. Help is on the way. And I just have, whenever I hear this
falsetto.
Whenever I hear that Mrs. Doubtfire in my mind, I can't help, for some reason, when it hits a D&D setting, get this image of this really lovely elderly dwarven lady with bright orange hair or bright auburn hair, and just like a really gentle motherly figure to the party as a whole.
That's a character concept that I haven't done yet.
And then, oh, for God's sake.
My dwarves are usually like
Apparently, somehow, we've displayed hateful behaviours.
interesting. Interesting. Fascinating.
Um,
That is D&D in a nutshell, though. Even when you're not trying to, it comes out. Your true colors come out in D&D.
yeah.
No,
But,
it's like
Sorry,
my
Karen.
dwarves are always like punk rock, death clerics.
That's probably what it is, because we're talking about fantasy dwarves. I love TikTok Shop, by the way. But yeah, so that's one. What other ones have we got?
Oh, hi guys. Yeah, this is Hoddo. Right
Oh,
here.
no.
And, you know, I did bring my bag of goodies with me today, but, I think I misplaced them in the privy.
You are never allowed to betray the party with any character who has that voice, because any party that meets a character with that voice is going to trust them 120%. Okay?
You want to bet? I literally had a party turn Hoddo away some time ago now, but they met Hoddo and they're like, "No, you're way too sus."
Are they? Is it an evil campaign?
No, that wasn't an evil campaign.
No. How could they? That's so cold-hearted.
Then you've got your highborns. I do have a bit of a range for highborns, and I think that's partly where like the southeastern British accent comes in. So we've obviously got Lord Carter, who tends to speak with his teeth a bit more than most. And, you know,
Indeed, Lord Carter will be an excellent pawn in our plans.
I love that. We've got,
Oh yes, Lord Baron. Right at the back of the throat, you see, and,
In the back of the throat, yes.
no, that was more Jafar. That sounded more Jafar to me from Aladdin.
yeah.
I'll just pretend I don't talk like this then. Oh my god, my sea elf talks like this. Except when they're underwater, and then they go like this because it's underwater and the base carries more, of course. But when they're above land, it talks like this.
So that above land voice you just done was not far from arduous.
Yeah.
The arduous voice that I used. I'm trying not to use voices that are too loud because my household is sleeping. I'm trying to think of something a bit more. Oh yes, we've got the vizier, you see. A rather interesting notion, to be sure. Partly inspired by the voice of Deckard Cain from Diablo 3. That character has always been of interest to me, but I felt that his voice was a bit too dull for a villain, and so I decided to put a bit more of an emphasis on certain inflections within his sentences.
So you can tell you're like have a decent amount of talent at this, because I can immediately like think of the character that the voice belongs to that we encountered, even though like I don't even remember their name, but I remember the voice, you know?
And that's what I try to do.
And of course you got Alabaster. Another sort of uppity, noble type, but he has a bit more speed to his speech, and, well, when he's pondering, he kind of just slows all the way down rather than just taking a step or a pause or two. But if you let people get a word in edgeways, it gives them chance to renegotiate your terms or change the contents of the deal.
I do. I think the voices help a lot. I think it's good that you're doing the voices.
So, guys, thank you very, very much. That was a little sort of 10-15 minutes extra there of of voice work for you.
I mean, who doesn't love talking about their characters, all right?
I know. And it's, D&D is certainly a passion that has many avenues that can be discussed.
Can I ask you one more question before
Yeah,
we go?
sure, of course.
I started playing Pathfinder, which was like,
Yes.
D&D 3.5-ish.
Yeah.
And this was like before like Matt Mercer, before Critical Role, like before it became really popular.
Yeah.
Does it ever feel like I'm kind of more on the old school side of things when we're playing D&D?
I wouldn't say so. See, the further back you go in editions, the more you head towards hex crawl and wargaming. And then you start on the path to like Pathfinder and things. And there are two very distinct groups within Pathfinder. You've got role players and you've got those who want the tactical combats. And they don't lend themselves to one another quite as well. And this is all because of the way the mechanics of Pathfinder are so well defined. That's not to say it couldn't work, because I'm sure there are tables out there with a nice healthy mix. But at least when I was running Pathfinder 2.0, I found that if you wanted a roleplay campaign, it had to be a roleplay campaign. If you wanted a combat campaign, it had to be a combat campaign.
I haven't played that much 2.0. I've only played the original.
Yeah, and again, it's where the rules of interactions are so well defined, which is a good thing in a lot of ways, because it's more reading and memorization for the GM, but it's less work on rules interpretation for the GM. Now, having said that, obviously in a roleplay campaign there's still combat and vice versa, but it's going to be nowhere near as intense. And I've looked through some of the adventure parts for 2.0, and the ones I've seen are mostly dungeon crawlers. And with 5e you've got Curse of Strahd, Eye of Vecna. You've also then got the flip side, which is Tomb of Annihilation, Dungeons of Drakkenheim, which is obviously third party, but still an amazing source to read through. I'm still yet to read through it, however, but I do know the contents of it. But would I say you're an old school role player type? No.
I think you might see a little bit more of it in how cautious I am in a dungeon.
Perhaps.
In that anything could be a creature waiting to kill you. Undead and statues, anything human shaped is always going to come alive and kill you. Every other door is trapped. So you can ignore the first door and you have to perception check the second door. And if the floor has any markings at all, just cast Spider Climb and ignore the floor entirely.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a bit of a shock when it comes to my dungeon design.
I mean, I look forward to it. Like, as a player, when I know the stakes are high, I'm going to get very cautious. So I'm looking forward to it a lot, what happens later on. And I absolutely know that so many people in this party are just going to stumble into everything. And then I'm looking forward to that too. All right, Captain, thank you for having me.
That's all right. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us on the FerventDrift. I have been your captain for this evening, setting sail for shores unknown. We have been joined tonight by Kitty, who plays Ravina on Saturday night's campaigns. If anybody is watching, whether that's on catch up, through the clips, or anything else, I am currently recruiting for a couple of my campaigns right now. So do get in touch. I am reachable on TikTok, I'm reachable on Twitch, wherever you want to reach out to me. I am available under FerventDrift. Other than that, may all your 20s be naturals, guys, and as ever, we will see you in the next